Welcome to the Bodaciously Awesome Family Show. Bodaciously Awesome Family Show. The only show dedicated to helping parents maximize their kids' experiences and for kids to reap the fun. Here are your hosts, the Bodacious family, Adam, Anthony, and Zachary.
Welcome. Get make more noise. Hello, welcome back to Bodaciously Awesome Family
Show.
I am Adam.
I'm Chantel.
And we gave both kids the night off. I don't know what we're thinking, but they're both out of here. It's like we got the night to ourselves and we're like, woohoo, let's podcast.
Yeah, that's because this is going to be about a PG-13 rated show.
That's right. So we're like, let's kick the kids out. So before we start, where can the people find us on the podcast lands?
All of them.
That's right. So you can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. I believe we're on Stitcher. We're on what's that other one called? And that one in India and France. We're very big in India and France.
Yeah. We are loved in Belgium and in Italy.
Very good. Very good. I was hoping that you were going to get my reference, and you knocked it home with good job.
Thank you.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about Cirque Italia.
Do I gotta talk like a Luigi?
We could do that for a little
Vincenzo.
while. But then it would become very annoying.
That is my superpower.
Well, we should probably stop.
Si.
Si, Paolo.
Si.
Si, Paolo.
So what is so Cirque Italia was a Cirque show. We happen to see it here in Brandon.
I have a name for it. It's the poor man's Cirque du Soleil.
I mean, kinda, but it was. I would put a pin in that because I would actually not agree with that.
Okay, but now our tickets happen to be free, but the surface price for the tickets and the venue, which is a fraction of the size of a Cirque venue, I believe were $15.
They went to 30 or 40, but not. I wasn't gonna say it from that perspective because this was a definite different feel than a Cirque du Soleil show, at least for me, and. Since in a Cirque show, like, we've been to like the ones in Vegas or whatever, and this went back to a much more traditional circus and carnival roots, although using the Cirque du Soleil like atmosphere as a thing, which was kind of the idea behind the original Cirque du Soleil when it went performing. I don't remember seeing a Cirque show like in a mall parking lot in a tent, although I know they did them that way. I remember the Vegas ones or whatever, so that's why I say that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, fair enough. But the whole idea of the poor man's does not necessarily mean that it is, not good. It just means that it is of a lesser degree. Yeah.
So it's definitely less pomp and circumstance than going to see a traditional Cirque show.
Exactly, and it's certainly more affordable.
Yeah, and it was great. So first of all, I have a couple shout outs here to start with. So we do, or at least one. You mentioned our tickets were free. We did not get them from Cirque Italia. There was no review for this. We happened to get them through the Macaroni Kid, which is I believe they're nationwide. We got it through Brandon's Macaroni Kid, which is like a email marketing newsletter that goes out every week just telling you about things in your area to do. So this one was brandon.macaronykid.com. You can go to macaronykid.com and find if there's one in your neck of the woods. But a big thank you to the Brandon Macaroni Kid. They had a contest. We won the contest, and it was kind of awesome. So thank you, Macaroni Kid.
Shout out to Macaroni Kid. Yeah.
So definitely follow them, and they send you a newsletter every week and an email that just tells you what's going on in your neighborhood. Fun things to do. So Cirque Italia. Now this had a very unique theme. Again, we've seen other Cirque shows, some with themes, some without. This one had a very specific theme, and they did throw like a PG-13 rating given the theme.
Yeah, the theme was Alcatraz.
Yeah, so it was prison / Alcatraz as the theme.
It was legit prison. Easy for you to say. Legit prison.
Yeah, so basically there was two sets of performers. There were guards and there were prisoners.
Yep, with the orange jumpsuits and everything.
Yeah, and I was, and I know I overthink things sometimes when I get to shows like this, because I would have loved there to be a story. And there was a little kind of one with the clowns kind of had a story that went through. Oh, they did have a story. The clowns had a story that went through the entire show. But after that, there was no real story to the prison environment. And given the context of that environment, it would have been kind of cool had they had one. I mean, the guards daring people to escape out of something. And it just would have made, I don't know. For me, it would have been an extra little element to add in.
You're overthinking it.
I know.
It's a circus.
I know, but I want a circus with a story.
No. Circuses don't have stories. They have rings.
But this one had a theme.
A theme, yes, and it had and there were not 3 rings, but it had a ring of an act.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of, this was a circus, not a story.
Yep. Well, and it had very good acts. So let's talk about some of the acts. Like, what were some of your favorite acts?
Well, by far the was there 5 or 6 prison gentlemen that made up a
prison gentlemen
that made up a not a aerial group. They were a ground acrobatic group.
Yeah, so there was a group of 5, 6 tumblers, prisoners. But yeah, it was a high energy acrobatic tumbling. They did some flying though. So they did a lot of things with trampolines. Yeah. I mean, but it was all ground based as opposed to aerials. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great. They did 2 or 3 beyond the clowns. They were the only people that had numerous sets. And I think they did 2 or 3, and they were great. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic and incredibly high energy.
Yeah, they were fantastic. If you've ever seen the Lion King show at Disney's Animal Kingdom, that's kind of the feel for what they do. The monkeys in that show. Yeah, it's that they work together to do really, really cool gymnastics.
Yeah, and they did a lot where they would like you kind of see basically any cheerleading group, right, where they throw up the one girl as high as they can, and like the 3 guys catch her or whatever. But they were kind of doing that, but with like big guys, right, not like a tiny cheerleader, and they were like then re-catching them, but like only on their hands, like they weren't putting their arms out for extra support, which was awe-inspired. Like see them like do the flip and jump or from one pile to the other, and then just catching them with like 2 guys just like with their hands, like and then not falling and killing themselves.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Actually, they were holding like a very small little cushion between them. So that's what they were landing on. But yeah, they did some and they had this swing thing, and then they would it took 2 people to get the swing going. I guess one of them provided the momentum for the other one, and then if they would like let go and do like 5,000 flips through the air and then still land on their feet.
Yeah, and that was. And they were like, and there was one guy who I thought was probably the leader or whatever, but like they were doing some really cool flips, and they were getting high. I mean, they were getting 20 feet in the air, maybe 30. Like they were getting high off the swing.
Yeah, it was very, very impressive.
Yeah, and then and this one guy just went into a full on tuck and roll, and it wasn't a 360 or a 720, right? It may have been like a 1440. Like he may have flipped into a circle. It may have been 24 times.
Yeah, it was very, very cool.
Yeah, it was like Sonic the Hedgehog just flying through the air. It was and then still landed on his feet. Now, again, they had a big cushion there to land on just in case, but hit that perfectly on his feet. It was incredible.
Yeah, and then they did some very cool gymnastics with jump ropes.
They started with the jump ropes, yeah, because when you think high energy Cirque show in a prison, you're like PG-13 rating. Let's do some double dutch.
Absolutely, yeah, and they were doing flips in the middle of 2 double dutch ropes. It was impressive.
Yeah, or they had like the 2 people on the sides doing 2 ropes, and then someone in the middle with their own jump rope in the middle. Yeah, it was like they brought about. I'm like, really? They're starting this with jump roping like that? Okay, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it was very, very good. So another act that was pretty awesome was the archer.
The archer was incredibly unique, but mostly because I was very worried about my safety at one point. Like, I legitimately thought, if he misses, I could have been shot by an arrow.
It's true. Yeah. I don't know how they're safeguarding the audience safety between in that particular act, but yeah. So there's this guy that's an archer, and then you have the girl holding the balloon in her mouth. And he's shooting the arrow from across the stage to pop the balloon. And at one point, he set up a series of, like, what do you call them, gongs?
No, they're mirrors. They're so it was. So first of all, for that, he does the behind the back shot. Mm-hmm. So she's sitting there, and they gave her a little protective, like 1-inch square just in case. And she had the balloon above her head. And he's not facing her, but he's like back to her, and he's with a mirror, and he has this wasn't a regular bow. He was using a crossbow.
Yeah, it was a crossbow. Uh-huh.
Yeah, And he has a crossbow propped on his shoulder with a mirror, and he fires it backwards and into the balloon. That was cool. But yeah, so he sets up these, basically they're like silver platters, gongs, mirrors, and there was 2 lanes of 3 each, and each one of them would swing, and it was connected to a trigger on yet another crossbow. And so he positioned them so that theoretically, if he hit the first one, that would trigger the second one to fire, that would then hit the second platter, and then keep going until it hit the balloon again above the woman's head. But to trigger that first one, what did he have to do?
Well, hold on. I thought it was one arrow that ricocheted off of those.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, each one of those gongs had its own crossbow underneath it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was one arrow that kind of bounced off each one.
No, they're all basically triggered.
Oh, okay, cool.
And that's why she was so intently also looking at that last one, because, that's where she was. But yeah, to fire, so he basically fires a crossbow into that first platter. So he's kind of walked off the stage left, turns around to stage right, which is where we were sitting in like, the 5th or 6th row, and he's leveling and pointed it. And I noticed that, given where he was standing, how he was standing, and because we went like on a Thursday night where it wasn't overly crowded, if he missed, I may have gotten out of the way or pulled you in front of me for protection, but it could have been very disastrous for us.
I was not at any point seriously concerned about my safety.
I would not say I was seriously concerned. I am joking.
You're overdoing it.
It was very cool. I did like that. The other thing that I really liked, the other act, that this actually may have been my favorite act, was the Juggler.
The Juggler was great because you don't really see jugglers in Cirque shows. I like that they had the jump roping and the Juggler because, it brought it down out of Cirque is almost, 90% aerial. So, it took it out of that and like some more, old-fashioned carny type acts.
Yeah, I agree. To get there, I'll get there in a second. Because one thing they did not have was kind of like the 2 strong men on the ground where like eventually one of them's like balancing on the other one's head and stuff, right? Which you see like in every Cirque show. And they didn't have like that. So they made room for things like the Juggler. And again, the Juggler was intensely high energy.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And he was juggling many things. And one of the things he juggled was like sombrero type hats. And he was making it land on he had 3, and he was making one land on his head, and then he, quickly get that one off, and then the next, as he was juggling, the next one would fall onto his head, and the next one, it was so cool.
Yeah, he was throwing basically like frisbees, where you can throw a frisbee at an angle and have it come back to you. So he's throwing these sombreros, he's throw them up, and it land on his head, and they kept firing them. But yeah, he's like incredibly high energy, like people clapping along. And I've seen some jugglers at various shows. I've never seen a juggler had that command of an audience that quickly and kept it for his entire 5 minutes. Like it was really cool.
Yeah. All the performers were top notch, fantastic.
Yeah. They also did we get into some aerials here. They did some aerials. There was some good tightrope walkers.
Yep, and they did the bicycle on the tightrope, and they did the blindfolded dude on the tightrope, which is always entertaining.
And that dude actually slips. That was the scariest part, because they had a cushion underneath him, but he was walking, and there was one point where one of them kind of slips, and you're like, okay, I don't know if it's real or not, right, or if it's part of the show. But I think he may have legitimately slipped, because he came down, kept his balance. And when he was then standing back up, I don't think I've ever seen someone's legs strain. Like he was shaking. I don't think because he was scared, just the strain of trying to stand back up on it. And he was like, it felt very real.
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, it was very impressive.
Yeah, so for him, if you're listening, and it wasn't real, then I completely bought into it. But it really did feel like you were very making sure that you were going to plummet the 10 feet down to the stage.
True.
Yeah, so I liked them a lot. There was also there was another strongman aerialist who had like rope rings set up above the stage. And so he went and he basically was doing some monkey bars across the rope wings and whatnot. But then he actually turned upside down and put his feet in these rope rings and was walking upside down through these rope rings.
That was the bad to the bone guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and the
other
smile
thing,
on your face right now, I also would have to say, is this a little bit uncalled for?
I like the bad to the bone guy.
Striptease guy.
Oh, stop it. So part of this show was the music. The music was the soundtrack was absolutely fantastic. It had Welcome to the Jungle. It had Enter Sandman by Metallica. And this guy performed to Bad to the Bone. So it was just fantastic. It was great.
Yeah. All the music there was a heavy rock soundtrack to it, and it all fit in very well. But yeah, this guy actually had, through his gyrations, had a slight striptease gimmick going on, but he was as a strong man. But yeah, it was, and yeah, using Bad to the Bone, it was a very impressive strongman act.
Is that really considered a strongman act?
I'm thinking if you were up on those you're up and doing those rings like that, and then I see was them balancing, and then all that was all strength. I mean.
No, okay. I didn't know what you would call that.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I consider anything that's off the ground an aerial, so...
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figure anything that takes that much strength and make it look so effortless, right? That's the one thing that I've always really appreciated about any Cirque show is how effortless they make it look. Because it's one thing, if you can, balance your entire body weight on one hand and twirl around, right? And you're like, wow, I assume that takes a lot of strength. But when you do it and you're smiling, you're you go up into one finger, you're like, oh, this is nothing. It's that effortlessness that makes you think that these people are weightless or they can defy gravity, or that because of that strength is that I think that's the most impressive part.
Yes. Yeah. The amount of strength needed for those acts is incredible.
Yeah. Were there any acts you didn't like?
No, not that I can think of.
So the only one I didn't...
Wait. Okay, so should we say the reason why it's really rated PG-13?
Yeah, we'll get there in a second. Hold on. Yeah, so we'll get to that. Yeah. So the only act I didn't really like, and this is odd for me, because this is usually my favorite part of every circus, but then even a lot of Cirque shows. I did not like the clowns.
Well, and let's clarify. They were not literally clowns. They're more buffoons.
That's a good point. Yeah, they were just like two guys. They
were white nerdy, white nerdy guys that
go to prison.
Yeah, they got thrown into prison. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're the comic relief, the buffoons. Yeah, buffoons actually a better term for them in this.
Yeah, they were not dressed as clowns.
No, not at all. Because that's in the circus. That's the phrase, right? But they were in 3 or 4 things. They had a song at one point that I was like, eh.
Yeah, but, stop singing.
Yeah, everything kind of about them. I mean, I don't know why they were funny or buffoony, but for the most part, I did not like any of their segments.
I would agree with that. And
until
so
the PG-13 part at the end.
Yeah, so actually the reason the show was rated PG-13 was because of 2 of their acts. One where they were removing items from the guy's butt.
That one was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And it was Austin Powers.
Yeah,
it was that Austin Powers sketch. And they keep trying to get him pulling other stuff out of his butt. That was actually kind of funny.
Yeah. But then it is just seemingly out of nowhere. They performed an electric chair electrocution of one of the buffoons. As the woman doctor was singing hauntingly in the background, and he went through all the shaking gyrations and
smoke,
and they made his body smoke, and it was
screaming.
And he was screaming. It was rather intense.
Yeah, it was so weird because
and random. I felt it was kind of random. I know we're in prison, but I felt it was kind of random.
Yeah, when they mentioned Old Sparky at one point, again, going back to that kind of story for the buffoon characters had and they were framed for murder, and one of the guys was concerned they were going to get the chair. So at least they'd set it up. But for the happy-go-lucky show, right? All of a sudden, they throw this dude in the electric chair, and they go through, and you're like, okay, something's going to happen or stop, or it's going to be an explosion. No, they fry the guy to a pretty intense degree, and that's not the end of the show. It goes. There's another act.
Yeah, there's another act after that, and then he comes back as an angel.
Yeah, but you go back to the next act. I would say that the audience was rather stunned at that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the very least, you're like, wow, this was a little bit more graphic than I would have thought. It's nothing over the top. Again, it's not. It was a PG-13. I would not have wanted Zach at 9 there. Anthony at 14 would have been fine, but it was definitely
disturbing imagery, I believe, was the term they used in their disclaimer. They actually didn't allow anybody in under the age of 14.
Yeah. So, and I would agree, it was disturbing imagery, and I think that was nice of them to kind of put that together, but it was very random. But then, then there's going to be a high-energy, happy act And again, I think it was that troupe. It was those 5 guys again.
With the swing.
And then again, at the beginning of it, I think the audience was very taken out of that next act. And it took a while for them to bring them back in.
Yes, because it was rather disturbing.
Yeah. So all in all, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really, really great show.
Yes, I really enjoyed it too. I was pleasantly surprised, and if it travels to your town, just know the tent is really small, so it's not necessary to spend extra money on unless you just want to be in the front row and be able to high five them, because they did do that.
They did. They
did fist bump and high five. So if you want that experience, then it's necessary. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, so their pricing tiers were based on how close you were to the stage, and I don't think there was 20, 25 rows in the tent, and then on 3 sides of the stage, about 1,000 people is my guess is the capacity. So you're very intimate wherever you were. It's coming to about 3 or 4 places in Florida. It then travels after that. I think I saw some a Facebook ad for Boston, but definitely would go. It was definitely a very high energy show, fun for the whole family above 14. Or for people that really like electrocutions.
Oh, yeah. And it's cash only. So you want to have cash only they have circus food like nachos and funnel cakes.
The funnel cake smelled amazing.
Yeah. But we didn't have that much cash.
We didn't have $5.
I had enough money to buy a $3 bottle of water, and that's it. But they also had souvenirs. They had cool, what do you call those?
Like those face, they almost like the plague doctor face masks.
It was not.
But it wasn't the plague doctor. It was really a weird looking.
Like Hannibal Lecter wears in Silence of the Lambs, so the face cover thing. So they had some cool of those for sale, and then they had T-shirts and
some cool T-shirts,
and they had a prison jumpsuit. I mean, they had some pretty good souvenirs, but it was cash only.
And you know what I noticed?
Nobody was buying anything.
No, people would walk over there and then walk away. I think that was that. So Cirque Italia, I think that's actually a pretty wasted opportunity. I think you were losing money because people were just not coming with cash anywhere anymore. I mean, take Venmo, something.
No, and I don't see anywhere in their advertisements, because I'm on Insta, and Facebook, and I didn't see anywhere in their advertisements where they said things were cash only inside.
Yeah, I thought that was actually very bizarre.
Yeah. So have a wad of cash, because they actually had some pretty cool souvenirs.
Yeah, and actually you can get there a little bit early, because they had like you see like in the old circuses, they had like the big sphere that had like 2 motorcyclists inside. That was like in the lobby, and they did like a little lobby show with that.
Yeah, and then the guys that were the gymnastics prison troupe, they actually had a jail cell like built into the lobby, and they were in the jail in the cell when you walked in.
Yeah. So all in all, thank you, Cirque Italia. It was great. Thank you very much to the Brandon Macaroni Kid for giving us some tickets. It was fantastic, and definitely if he comes to your town, go see some Cirque Italia.
Yeah, highly recommend. Si, Paolo.
All right, and so we're gonna say, hey, don't just be awesome.
Be bodaciously awesome.
And we'll see y'all next week. Talk to you later. Bye. Cirque.